Good afternoon. This is a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on June 7th, 2023, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protective Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Bob Rawls and I serve as the chair. Today's hearing is being broadcast live on Channel 18 and is being recorded for the on-demand archives available on the town's website. It's being conducted in person, by phone, and by video conference. The agenda, instructions on how to attend, and copies of documents for review are posted on the town's website. To all participants, whether attending by phone or online, please remain muted unless you've been recognized by the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're attending by phone, you can mute and unmute using *6. If you're online and you are not a commissioner, please keep your camera turned off unless you've been recognized. Indicate that you wish to speak by using the raise hand feature. So that we have a record of a quorum, I'll ask each commissioner now to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Bob Del Vecchio.
Present.
Janet Williams.
Present.
Karen Latin.
Present.
Mary Sullivan does not appear to be here. Elise Gordon.
Present.
Cheryl Meservey is not here, but I am here, so we do have a quorum. This is being the first Wednesday of the month. We need to finish by 4 o'clock due to another hearing in this room at 4:30. This leaves us 3 hours. In order to ensure that every application is heard, I may place a timer in front of me and we may have to continue any discussion that becomes protracted. I don't think we'll have to do that today because it's not a heavy agenda. Nikki Smith, Chatham's conservation agent, will now lead us through the agenda.
The first items are the orders of conditions.
Oh, let the record show that Mary Sullivan is here.
Sorry, I'm late.
All right, the first order of conditions is 16 Windmill Lane and Halleck, map 16A, parcel 19H3, SE 103630, replace cesspool with a new Title V system. And there's no addition to the dwelling, and it's an innovative alternative system.
I don't know if anyone's here representing the applicant. Looks like maybe. Nope.
Should be J.M. O'Reilly.
All right.
John.
All right. Therefore, we can do what we want.
We can do it in.
So we have in Dropbox a draft version of the order of conditions. It's also been posted on the town's website. I've made some edits in the draft on Dropbox. I see that somebody else has too. So it looks like your edits there, Janet. Is that right? Yeah, why don't you go ahead and.
Okay, I think we probably, for the record, we should summarize because the people watching don't have the edits.
Right,
so,
right.
I only had a few. One is to clarify that there's no net change in coverage in the resource areas, and so because of that, there's no mitigation required. I also wanted to add in applause, I guess is the right word, or for the fact that they are putting in an innovative advanced denitrification system because they're within 50 feet of the dune and they're fairly close to the water. And I think we should start, I'm always interested in finding out if people are willing to put these in, particularly when you're within 100 feet of a waterway, because the groundwater is more likely than not to actually reach that at some point. So the less nitrogen that the more we can prevent it from getting into the waterway, the better. So I just put it in that, I use the word appropriate. The entire project area is within land subject to coastal storm flowage and within 50 feet of the coastal dune. Therefore, installation of an innovative advanced septic system is appropriate.
Oh, that's not high praise.
Well, I didn't want to go too far. It's not required. But I think that at some point we should have a meeting with the Board of Health about denitrifying the waterways in this town that's coming from septic. Anyway, And I think that was all I had.
Okay.
On that note, how does I guess I haven't actually heard how the Board of Health feels about the innovative alternative. I know Harwich was a little picky about them.
I don't know, and I think it would be a good idea for us to meet with them to talk about what their view is, because I know that there have been, some people have expressed concerns about, with rising sea levels, the groundwater rises as well, which shrinks the area between the septic and the groundwater. So that's something that they have to keep in mind, but I do think that denitrification, given the severity of the nitrogen problem, is a good idea. If we're wrong about that, I'd love to hear from the experts on.
Okay, so I can talk with
Yeah.
Judy and,
That would be great. The only other question I had is somewhere in here. The pines, the four, is it Japanese black pines? Is that what they are? Yeah.
Japanese black pines, yeah.
Yeah. And those are on the invasive list? Or are they? They
I
are.
believe so, yeah.
Oh, so,
But,
Yeah, so are they going, are they staying, and what?
well, I was gonna suggest that we add a finding, just mentioning that they are gonna be 3 Japanese black pine will be removed because of the construction.
so I actually put in the draft that I thought that,
I'm doing this, Nikki.
Yeah, but they are invasive, so that's why in the special conditions, we ask that they replace with natives.
Yes.
that's different than what I put in there for special condition then. I had it backwards.
We'll just
Yeah.
change that.
I had down that the trees were being removed and that they would replant it maybe with shrubs and would be reviewed by the agent, but probably beech plum or bayberry
Yeah,
were in my notes. So
Well,
I
we
was
have-
going to ask about that.
yeah, so we have
Other
special
findings.
conditions, number 3 and 4 address that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we'd add the one about the no pesticides, no new irrigation.
The standard
in there, too.
paragraph?
Yeah, the standard one.
That,
So they can't turn around and put an irrigation system in.
is that not in the,
Doesn't appear to be in the template because we keep missing it.
it
Thought
used
it
to be.
was.
Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah.
Or it's being taken out, one of the two.
that's weird.
That is weird.
Our special conditions as one of the special conditions always, that we would take out if they didn't need it, but I don't see it anywhere.
Okay. Where should it be? It should be a standard condition.
Should be a
It usually is,
Yeah,
Should
but
be
I'm
a-
searching for irrigation, getting nothing, and I'm searching for pesticide and getting nothing.
yeah.
But I thought they were always, I thought it was in the special.
We like to add it to the special when it's appropriate.
Okay.
I wonder if we have two versions of the template in different places.
That's possible.
Hi, guys. The template that I used was the May 2023 template that was in Dropbox.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, Crystal did this one. Not that I'm blaming her for not having that in there, but this was actually like, I think our first one that she's done.
Oh, congratulations, Crystal.
Good. We have to, at some point, it seems that we took it out and somehow we must have oversaved the template
Yeah,
so I'll just make a note to check it
I'm
and
not
put it
sure
back
why
in.
in May it would have been modified.
It shouldn't, the template should never be. Oh, I did it. I had to put something that we changed at the last hearing, and I had to put it back in.
I'm not sure.
I'll find it, and,
But are You, Janet, and you, Nikki and Crystal, looking at the same template in the same place, the same,
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
The most recent one I've done.
Whenever I change anything or update anything, I date it and put the other in there's a folder for old templates.
okay.
So
All right, well,
it
we'll
won't be
sort
very
it,
hard
we'll
to find.
sort it
but-
out.
Yeah.
And so Bob's suggestion is we add that into this one.
Yep, I'm just putting a note in here, Crystal and Nikki, to say to add those conditions, and then I will check on getting them into the template. All right.
All right, so did you change this? Because I don't see, it's not telling me there's a new version.
It's syncing right now.
Okay, syncing. Syncing.
Yeah,
All right, well, as long as it's there, because
It's
not,
there.
it's not telling me that it's there.
it's slow because my internet connection in this place is a little weak, so it takes a while. Yeah,
Okay, so we're gonna scratch 7 too, right? Special condition 7, we're gonna remove, okay.
No, see, what I'm looking at is still showing
huh,
mine. I just closed it and opened it again.
all right, let me close mine.
Mine shows 37 seconds ago.
It's interesting.
Oh, well, that's why.
I'm looking in the I know it's the right one, but it's not showing me the updates. Very strange. Oh, there it is. Now I get the message.
Yeah, the online version has it.
Okay, it just now told me. All right. All right, good. So, anything else from anyone? Fairly straightforward order, so.
I'll make a motion that we close the hearing on 16 Windmill Lane and approve the order of conditions with the changes noted for the same address.
Latin, second.
Roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
All right, the next order of conditions is 45 Old Harbor Lane, Salt Meadow Limited Partnership, map 16I, parcel 6MR1, SE10 3629, invasive management and restoration of a 29,000 square foot area.
All right. Anybody here representing?
Yes,
Okay.
for the record, Ian Peach from Wilkinson Ecological Design, representing the project.
All right, thank you. Have you seen any version of the draft order conditions?
I have one in front of me, thank you.
Okay. So, maybe I should go first because I added a bunch of findings. So I'm just going to read them out. I don't think anything will be offensive to you.
Okay,
I add suggested just noting that there's almost 30,000 square feet of coastal habitat to be restored. I note that there's 2 view corridors approved under a previous order. A note that there's a leaning spruce that will be removed. A note that there's I modified the finding about cedars. I say the height-managed cedars in the view corridor will be removed and replaced with maritime shrubs. I added a finding, a swath of bayberry in the view corridor will be maintained at a height of 5 feet.
Yep.
And I added that there'll be selective pruning on 2 trees in the view corridor. I just like to have the findings sort of represent the thought process that we went through. And then, just to finish up, in special conditions, since I made so many findings, I added a special condition, just reminding people that there's a bunch of new stuff in the finding section. I put it in the special conditions section, which is a little unusual, but I've done that a couple of times, just so people don't just skip past the findings part. Because whenever the agent goes out there to check it, I think it'll be helpful for them to know those findings in order to look at what was done. And that was all I did.
Thank you. Understood.
Anything else from anyone?
No, you hit what I had noted,
Okay.
so thank you.
All right.
Looks good.
Good project, and good luck with that.
Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Moving on.
Appreciate it.
I'll
Have
make
a
a
nice afternoon.
You too.
I'll make a motion that we close the hearing on 45 Old Harbor Lane and approve the order of conditions as noted with the changes noted for the same address.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
All right, the next order of conditions is for 74 Hinshaw Drive, the Logan Family Revocable Management Trust, Living Trust, map 14D, parcel S6, SE10 3632, replace existing timber retaining wall.
All right, anyone here for Henshaw?
Yes, David Clark here.
Hello, Dave. Have you seen the draft order?
Yes, my only request is, in lieu of an as-built plan, would pictures suffice for a project of this size?
For the COC,
Yes,
Nikki?
And the wall's in the same location,
yes.
right? Yep. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Does it require change?
I'm looking
Yeah, and probably the last
in the
page.
COC section. Let me just find it. Yep, here it is. We'll just say photographs. Got it.
All right. Very straightforward project. Anybody else? Nothing? No?
I got a couple of
Okay.
things. Finding 3, I think should be placed in the special conditions instead of
The one on the
listing it in the
mulch?
findings.
I'll add it to it. Yeah, yeah. No, the mulch, is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 I have is on.
3 is
Which one are you
ivy.
talking about?
In the findings. Oh, I am in the,
Findings 3, mulch shall be used to keep the
Right.
weed seeds from germinating above the wall.
Right.
After the wall, maybe mulch shall be used to keep the weed seeds from germinating above the wall after the wall is, after the new wall is backfilled.
Okay. Ooh, tracking
But
did
that,
not
I think
turn
that's,
on.
I think that's a special condition and not a finding.
I put it in both,
Okay.
so.
I think you're right, Bob. It should be in special condition, yeah.
And maybe say something about the current wall, the way it's falling. And in the finding, it's either falling or it's rotting.
What's the most,
Disrepair?
Yeah, it's-
actually, because
Yeah.
it's rotten in some places.
Yes, it's rotting in some places and
And-
falling in others, so.
Yeah, I think
the-
it's both.
Yeah, the current retaining wall is either falling or rotting.
Would be rotten and falling.
it's both, yeah.
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 Different places.
It's
Okay,
in bad shape.
okay, got it.
All right, anything else? Sounds like we're good.
Make a motion that we close the hearing on 74 Henshaw Drive and accept the order of conditions as noted.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye. Aye. Aye.
That was an aye. And Mary?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
And thanks to Crystal again, she did that one as well.
Thank you,
Good
Crystal.
job.
Very nice.
So exciting.
I know. 2 people can do them now instead of trying to take them away from you guys, so you don't have to do so much.
We're happy about that.
The next one is 552 Orleans Road, Kenneth Hibbard and Eleanor Wilson, map 13J, parcel G19, SE103628, proposed landscape improvements, bake stabilization, and buffer zone mitigation restoration.
So there's confusion about this one. Originally, it was not listed as a OC. It was listed as an NOI. So I don't know when the change was made on MyTownGov, but up until this morning, up until I saw it show up, I didn't realize that it was an OC. So when it showed up,
Look at I have the printed agenda, which has it as an order. I don't know when.
Well, there
changed
was an agenda in Dropbox. There was an agenda in Dropbox as of this weekend,
Yeah, that didn't,
and that had it as an NOI.
NOI.
So that's what I was working from. And so this morning, when it showed up, I went to look at MyTownGov, and, because I thought they were the same, but then I saw it was listed as an order on MyTownGov, so I changed it in Dropbox, and then made my edits in the OC after it showed up. So I don't know how long it's been listed on MyTownGov as a order. Hopefully, whoever the representatives are understood that it was to be an order, but there was some confusion about it. And then I remembered an email,
we've lost the,
whoops, I guess we stopped talking now until,
Yes, we were still on TV.
We're
I
on
think,
TV,
as far as
so-
that goes.
all right,
Oh, yeah, we're back there, we're on.
yeah,
okay,
Mark. He's-
Well-
He's on it. I can see.
all right.
We're back. Maybe, no, we're not.
So I don't know who hasn't had time to look at it. And if there are people who haven't had time to look at it,
I think we have to continue.
well, we could also sort of put it to the end and let people have time to look, or yes, we could continue it, one or the other. Anyway, I don't know if there's a way of knowing, Nikki, how long it was listed as
It
an
was
order.
last updated on MyTownGov June 5th at 8 in the morning.
All right, so I don't know where
It's 48 hours, so.
No, it's enough.
okay. It just wasn't,
But I never think to go back to looking at my
we
town.
just worked from the copy, and I found the agenda in. Pardon?
We're off.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Does that mean we have to wait?
I don't know.
We're on the air still. Oh, no, we're not.
No, we're not.
Okay.
All right, we're back on the air.
Okay.
So resuming discussion, a little bit of confusion about this order. Is there someone here representing 552 Orleans?
It's really Crawford.
Yeah, Sean Riley or Jen.
Nope.
I don't see either.
I'll say it again, because I think I see some people showing up. Is anyone here representing 552 Orleans Road? That leads me to wonder whether or not they didn't know it either. And when Janet came in a while ago, you were saying something like, along the lines, you thought that it wasn't slated to be in order yet.
It wasn't specified in the, when it was continued, so I thought it was just being continued.
You didn't specify any of them that were being continued to be in order.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be done from now on.
Yeah,
Now that we do them on every week.
Right, 'cause we don't-
If it's going to be in order, I think we have to,
say for an order of conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I would say, Nick, if you can reach Crawford, and then we can put this toward the end of the agenda and see if what they thought was happening.
Yeah, I can take a quick break and run out and call her. I know I have her phone number upstairs.
Your phone is going nuts.
Oh, my good Lord.
oh my God, you look like me.
I told you, they know I'm back.
Throw it.
Yeah, let's just hold it off till the end.
Okay.
And we'll take a 5-second break and I'll run and, 5-minute break and I'll run and call Jen.
Okay,
All right,
You
so
want to take that break now while you call? Because that'll give them time to
do you want me to open the notice of intent so you can continue or?
yeah, why don't we move on to Old Harbor Road and we can work on that while you call Jen.
All right, that's
yeah.
Then, all right, so we're going to hold on 552 Orleans Road and come back to that one. And the next one is a notice of intent for 448 Old Harbor Road, Michael and Elizabeth Riley, map 16G, parcel K3, SE 103620, addition to a single-family dwelling within the buffer zone to a coastal bank.
All right, I think this is Dave Clark. Is that yours?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I think we only continued this because
ZBA.
At
we
ZBA.
were waiting for ZBA. ZBA is now scheduled for June 22. So
We want to continue.
unless there was, yeah, I don't know, I don't remember any requests by the commissions for modifications, so.
I don't remember any either, which is why I was a little confused why it was on the agenda, but now
Because of ZBA.
Yeah.
because we didn't know when ZBA was scheduled at the time.
Yeah.
I just looked
Yeah.
and it said, all I have is that it was being continued because they had not yet met with ZBA.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't even scheduled, so we
We can schedule-
continued it.
We can go to the
We
28th.
can go to the 28th. Is that okay with you?
That's fine. Yep.
Do we lose them?
No, he's thinking.
He's thinking.
Oh, no, I said it was fine.
Oh, okay.
We can't hear you very well here.
Oh,
He's very,
sorry.
very muted. All right.
All right.
I mean, in reality, I would guess, David, that this is not going to be,
I don't think so.
this is not going to be much of a head scratcher for zoning.
I'm hoping not, yes.
So the other alternative is to, well,
No, the 28th is fine.
I mean, what I'm-
Unless you want to go to the first meeting in July.
no, what I'm wondering is whether we should just start working on an order, even though, this breaks our new rule about scheduling orders before zoning has heard it. It's just in this particular case, I don't know, if you're not in a hurry, we'll just go ahead, we'll just schedule it the 28th and hear some more. But if you are in a hurry, in my own opinion, we don't risk much by doing an order on this one.
I would imagine that giving the location, ZBA, even though it's a minor project, would probably have a restriction on starting
Yeah.
not till after Labor Day anyway, so
Okay.
there is no rush.
All right, so we'll just continue it to hear it some more.
Make a motion that we continue 448 Old Harbor Road to June 28th, 2023.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise.
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, so
We lost me.
we can continue, we can open up the next one ourselves.
Yeah.
You can do it, right, Bob? Sure.
The next thing on the agenda, next property on the agenda is 72 Happy Valley Road, Mark Hunt, map 60, parcel 27A-19A, SE 10 3631. This is a notice of intent.
Spoken just like an agent. Very good. All right. Who's here for Happy Valley?
There he is.
Hi there.
Hi there.
For the record, Scott Fenara with Grady Consulting on behalf of the applicant, Mark Hunt. So this is a raise and rebuild of a single-family dwelling. We met on this project, let's see, back on May 3rd, and there were some concerns back then, both comments raised by the commission and comments raised by the zoning board. One of the main concerns with this commission was that the proposed dwelling was cutting into quite a bit of the existing tree line and brush line. So we have shifted the building and reoriented it a little bit to really utilize some of the previously disturbed area, which would limit the amount of brush clearing and limit the number of trees to be removed. One of the concerns with the zoning board was that we weren't adhering to some of the setbacks for the flood zone to the rear of the property. So this orientation now conforms to the front setback and the rear setback, actually all setbacks. So we will no longer be seeking any type of approval from the zoning board. This hearing, this project, since our last hearing, we did meet with the Board of Health, and the Board of Health did approve this. We have also submitted to the Historic Commission, and that hearing is scheduled for, I believe, the 19th of next month. So just a brief overview of the changes. Like I said, we shifted the building further to the open area, reoriented it a little bit. Clearly, it's an increase in the building. The existing building is 650 square feet. This one's proposed roughly 1,900 square feet. So to mitigate this here, what we are proposing is a denitrification septic system, which again has been approved by the Board of Health. We are also proposing dry wells to collect the stormwater runoff from the roof to fully attenuate that on site. We are proposing some native plantings. The native plantings are proposed to the rear of the property, closest to the BBW, and it's really just off of the path. I believe that was a concern last time of the commission. The previous mitigation plan was a little sparse, so this one has been improved significantly from the previous version. We are also proposing a 1-for-1 tree replacement. So every tree that is to be cut down on this property will be replaced in kind, just adjacent to that proposed mitigation planting area. And we are also proposing a silt sock for erosion control. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Open it up for questions. Karen?
Well, as far as mitigation, I see you have 1,050 square feet of a wildlife mix that's seed. That's an awful lot that's just putting in some seed. It's not plants, it's not shrubs. So can you speak to why you're doing that instead of putting in more, something more substantial?
I think I can answer. Go ahead.
Sure. So we actually are proposing something quite a bit more substantial. What we're proposing are, it looks like 29 high bush blueberries, 15 red spray
Right.
winterberries, and 5 eastern red cedars. The wildlife mix is just to help rejuvenate that area.
Okay.
And it really just mixes in between the other plantings there.
It's just the way it's put into the plan. It's not me.
Not you?
It's not me. It just makes it sound like it's, more substantial than what I think,
So it's going to be, the seed mix is interspersed amongst the plantings, is that?
yeah.
That's correct,
The
yes.
seed mix is not somewhere else, it's in the same area as
It is.
the plantings, okay.
Yes, correct.
Is that it? Is that,
I mean, it's just sort of an interesting that you're including it as part of, your mitigation count. I mean, it's something that's going underneath the other mitigation.
well,
To me.
the mitigation is square footage,
Right.
so. We
Yes.
already, yes, we are. Bob tried to fill in for
I
you
mean,
later.
I guess.
You did
it's
good, too.
Fine. Yeah. It's just an interesting way to word it, rather than saying that underneath the mitigations being put in, there will be this added. It makes it sound like you're doing more
Okay,
than, that's it.
all right. Anybody else, Bob?
Yeah, I have the same concerns. Usually when we see a mitigation area, it's seeded around the plantings with a conservation mix. And that really doesn't come into play when you talk about, mitigation coverage. So I also would like to see more shrubs instead of the New England Conservation wildflower mix. I would like to see more shrubs in that area. And I also had a concern about the large pine tree out by the road. So you have to remove that, obviously, because it's a safety issue, correct?
Correct.
And is that where the new septic is going into?
About that same location, yes.
Okay. And you're proposing 5 cedars for the removal of 5 trees? Is that what you're pointing out?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so what are those 5 pines altogether, or are they in the building area? I didn't see any other trees marked where the limit of work was.
Yeah, so the trees are all marked with a white X, I believe, on the trees. So there's one, it's actually not shown on this plan. That's one we discovered when we went to stake this out. It's right around the area of the proposed deck. If you look on the plan, there's
Yeah.
a contour line 18.
Right.
So that one, I believe, was a deciduous tree. And then all of the other ones are pines, yes.
Okay. And what size are those? Let's see, I can see it right here. 5 to 6 feet, okay. So, I mean, as far as the setbacks go, you can't move the house any closer to the street, correct? Because of the setback from the street?
Correct.
Okay. Because you still are in the NDZ on the back side of the house a bit.
Yes, we are seeking a variance for that.
Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, I just like to see, like Karen, I'd like to see more mitigation plantings. And that is a large tree out front by the road. I'd like to see maybe 2 or 3 trees in compensation for that large tree by the road. So instead of 5 cedars, maybe 7 or 8. And that's all I had. Thank you.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
At our meeting on May 3rd, it had been said that the deck might go outside the 50-foot area, and most of the deck is still within the 50. So I was wondering if you could speak to that?
Sure. Yep, so I believe when we talked about the deck being outside the 50, it was in reference to the 50-foot setback to the flood zone. And that was an issue that was brought up by the zoning board. And also in speaking to the deck, the size and configuration of the deck was changed. The size was reduced.
But there's still a significant amount of it that's within our 50-foot buffer
To the wetland.
to the wetland, yeah. You know, that's NDZ, and we don't like to see structure. You've already got a decent amount of the house in there. You've moved the garage is pretty much out. But the deck and there's stairs going down to the property from the deck are all primarily in the 50.
Sure, yep. Just one thing I would like to note is that we're actually, we're improving the existing condition here. So the existing deck is 28.4 feet away from the wetland. So the closest structure would be that new deck, and that's actually about 7 feet further away than what the existing conditions are.
Oh, I understand that. We had hoped that maybe you were going to actually move it as much as possible. It seems like most of it is still within the 50.
Not to pile on, but following up on what Karen's saying, I wonder if you could help us and clarify the coverage calculations for both the 50-foot no disturb and the outer 50 to 100. There was some confusion. There was a conflict between the coverage table, which indicated 339 feet increase in the no disturb zone, but the original project narrative spoke to an increase of 678 feet in the no disturb zone. And while I was trying to reconcile those, I looked at the revised plan, saw how different it was from the original plan, and looked for what the revisions did to the coverage calculations and couldn't find that. So regardless of an earlier conflict between the narrative and the coverage table, do you have what this current proposal represents in terms of coverage?
Yes, we do. It's on the bottom left of this site plan here.
Let me see, I was, area calculations.
Our calculations table.
0 to 50, 50 to 100. So
Okay,
he's
but
saying
it's-
246, or 123 square feet in the 0 to 50.
Yes, 123 within 0 to 50. That's correct.
123 increase.
Correct.
Increased.
Okay. All right, now that I thought that was a zoning table, so I didn't check it. Okay, I can figure it out.
Yeah,
from there.
just since we're mentioning it, when we're all said and done here, we will want you to resubmit the standard coverage table that you submitted, originally. We'll need to update it, but I wouldn't
1290.
necessarily do that until we're all done with our discussion.
Sure. We can certainly do that.
Wow, so
Well, while you're,
the coverage on the outer aura, on the 50 to 100, went from 675 to 1618? So you're adding 1298 in the outer aura.
Yes, in structures, and we're reducing 736 square feet of hardscape.
I see, so that nets you 562.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that table is clear enough.
Is that for you? Okay.
Yeah.
I went out there again because it hadn't been staked originally. I went out and looked at it again a day or two ago. And the thing that I kept thinking about was that this is a heavily invaded property. There's a sea of invasives on the side of the property where the mitigation is. And so walk me through how that mitigation would not be immediately swallowed up by the adjacent invasives. And you may not
Sure.
have an answer for that, because
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure there is an answer for that. And so a lead-up question to that question is, are you going to touch those invasives in any way? The invasives that are not part of the house itself and yard, or the mitigation area? Are you just going to leave those as they are, all the invasives in between those two areas?
sure. So we will be happy to do whatever the commission decides here. If the commission decides they would like the applicant to remove some of those invasives, then he'll be willing to do that.
Well, that's good to hear. You be careful about asking that question or saying that, because we would want it all removed.
Yeah, not some.
So we'll talk about that in detail. So, but you see my point. That mitigation there, as it currently stands, you wouldn't be able to see it, let alone take care of it, let alone prevent it from being taken over by invasives within a year or two. And so my question is, whether the mitigation, if you're not going to get rid of the invasives, a huge amount of invasives on the property, it seems to me that it ought to be considered whether or not that mitigation ought to be somewhere else, maybe on the right side of the property as I'm looking at the map, or between the house and the water, not in front of the house. I mean, right now, you were saying between the house and, the mitigation is between the house and the water, but it's really, that's from the side of the house to the water. I'm talking about the front of the house to the water. Or in the area to the right of the house as you're standing on the deck looking toward the water. And if that were the case, then I think there might be, it would have more of a chance to survive, because first of all, you could see it. And second of all, you could actually get to it to try to, do things like make a mow strip around it, have an ongoing plan to keep invasives out of it, or whatever. So my thought at the time was, it's pointless as it stands with your proposal to put the mitigation where you're proposing to put it.
Okay. So that location was selected because that does not require any type of clearing on the site, whether it be brush or trees or anything. And again, it was closest to the BBW. There is a kind of a pathway. If you look in the bottom left of the sheet there, right where it says, to the left where it says Happy Valley Road, there's a pathway from that existing gravel parking area to access where this mitigation planting is. There's also a walking path to the northeast side of that. So there certainly is access to get in there and maintain that.
Okay, I didn't see a path. So show me again where that path is. Because when I was there, I walked back and forth, trying to find a way to get down there.
Okay. So on the bottom left, there's a notation that says gravel parking area.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, right there.
Okay.
So there's,
I thought that was part of the neighbor's property.
no, it's not. I know it can be confusing a little down there. There are some different spots where people park. The property lines are a little obscure here, but that is actually on the applicant's property.
Okay, yeah, now I see it.
So,
Now I see
yeah,
it.
so there is a pathway there.
It does, but it's not there.
Why, okay. It's just another parking area associated with the property.
Yep.
Okay. Because it's right next to the next door neighbor's house, so,
That's correct.
okay, that's just the way it is, all right.
Yep.
So, do you see that walking area along the mitigation?
The paper?
No, it's okay. Where's you?
I had a question about,
I think this one is, look,
Is this the gravel?
so this is the walking path.
Okay. Oh, the walking path is in
But
front
how
of,
do you get to it?
okay, well, you
Yeah,
should,
that's, he's got it on there, and there is right along, so you can, a mow strip would work, and a walking path could prevent the invasives from that side, but not from the.
not from the other side, all right. So, I'm sort of I'm accepting the fact that there is at least currently an access path to the mitigation area. And now I understand by looking at this, and it wasn't clear to me before, that there's a walking path, that would be between the mitigation and the water? The existing walking
Yes.
path? Okay.
Yes.
So I think my comment still stands. How do you prevent mitigation from absorbing that mitigation? And it's not easy. Some of the techniques, I mean, the best technique, as I mentioned, is just get rid of the invasives, but that's a large area and it'd be expensive. The other technique that we've sometimes talked about is to have something of a wide mow strip between the mitigation and the adjacent invasives. There's some controversy as to whether or not that's effective. I happen to think that it may not be as effective as some think because bittersweet and other invasives travel large distances underground. And so they can come right up in the mitigation. So that is why I'm still wondering whether or not that's not the right place for the mitigation. So I'm just going to throw that out to my colleagues here for their thoughts. Thoughts?
I got a couple of thoughts.
All right. Go.
Just two. So the shrubbery, the blueberry, the winterberry, is that going in as a screen so that you don't see people walking on that path?
Going in as a screen, that's not the intent of it, no.
Okay, so who uses that path? Is it like a neighborhood path?
I don't know exactly how many different people have rights to it, but it's
Okay.
essentially a path that follows along that bog there.
Okay.
And many people go along it.
Okay, and the other thing I had a question about were the plants around the rest of the property after the dwelling is constructed. You going to have any foundation plantings or anything like that?
I'm sure that he will. We don't have any proposed here right now. That's not something that the applicant has discussed with us.
Okay, because we do have regulations as far as the amount of natives that go into those plantings as well.
Yes, yep.
But I had the same concern that Bob had because it is heavily invaded in that northeast corner. So if you find a better location, that would be appropriate as far as I'm concerned.
I'm not really sure that there is a better location on this site. I do like the idea of having some type of mow strip. You know, if we were to take the location of that proposed mitigation and let's say add maybe a 6-foot mow strip between that area and the existing brush would kind of cut that brush and invasives down 6 feet. And then I know there's not a lot of love on this board for the New England conservation mix, but I think that little mow strip would be a good area to put some of that seed down there, which would kind of prevent the invasives from overrunning this mitigation area.
Yeah, I'd like to see more plants as well, instead of you know, it's fine to seed it with the conservation mix, but, I'd like to see more plants, more, shrubs, for
Well,
mitigation.
sure, but the shrubs do adhere to the mitigation policy as far as the square footage goes.
246, 50, so 808. So you need 808 square feet of mitigation?
Well, 1,080 has been proposed.
Yes, yeah, 808 is the required mitigation.
So the shrubs, okay, the amount of shrubs add up to that figure. And then you're just gonna
Yes.
disperse the seed mix in between the plants.
That's correct, yep.
Okay.
Okay, comments?
I also agree with Bob on the placement, both Bobs, on the placement of the mitigation. And the other part that I'm concerned about is the one-to-one tree replacement. I think we need to up that as well.
Yeah, on the tree replacement question, I think the issue that some of us are struggling with is that the DBH, diameter of breast height, for the trees that are being removed is pretty substantial. And so in those cases, we'll often ask for more trees because the biomass that's being taken out will never be replaced by, in this case, these red cedars that are replacing them. I think that's where at least I'm coming from on the tree replacement. Yes, you are replacing one for one, but when you look at the massive sizes of the trees that are being removed, then that loss is immediate and remains that way for perhaps forever. So I think that's why some of us are asking for more than one-to-one.
And if I could add to that, I know the trees are marked in the field, but they're not marked on the plan or listed on a table. The number, the species, yeah, I see that, remove 3. We normally, when trees are slated to be removed within our jurisdictional area, we get a list of what they are, the species, the size by DBH, and then from that data, we can calculate the appropriate replacement ratios, but I can't figure that out from this.
Okay, that's something we can certainly add.
Okay, thank you.
So, and while you're mulling that over, so I think what I heard you say a while ago is putting the mitigation in the northwest corner is not an option. I think that's the north, it's the opposite corner from where it's being proposed.
In the opposite corner.
In other words, in front of the house instead of to the side of the house. In front of the garage, let's put it that way. Behind the garage.
Behind the garage.
Behind the
yeah.
garage. In that whole general area, are there opportunities there to put the mitigation? And the only reason I'm asking is that at least there you could see it. And that you might,
Sure.
While you're sitting on the deck, you might, or looking out the window, you might say, hey, looks like some invasives in that mitigation area. Maybe we should do something about it.
Yep, so the reason we didn't select that area is because that already has some brush and some trees. So in order to go in there and plant all these new plantings, it would involve clearing out quite a bit of that brush, maybe removing some trees just to be able to meet the 808 square foot requirement. So I think it'd be a bit more challenging to get it behind the garage. But
Well,
if that's what the consensus of the board is, we can.
No, I'm just asking,
certainly-
about feasibility. We can't design it for you. We're asking questions, and, when you say there are trees there, obviously we wouldn't want trees to come out. We'd want mitigation. If any mitigation goes there, it'd be the appropriate sort of vegetation that could live under existing trees. And this is the sort of thing that a restoration specialist would be able to work out. And I know that's not what you guys do. You're a engineering company, as best I can tell. And so I'm just
Yes.
wondering whether or not your applicant may want to consult with a restoration specialist on the whole mitigation plan. It's not an insubstantial amount of mitigation. For example, in your proposal, there's nothing about the plan of care for the plants and how they'll be planted and so forth. The sort of information we normally receive from a firm that specializes in designing and installing and taking care of mitigation. Just throwing that out there.
Okay.
And as Bob alluded to a while ago, everything in the NDZ, in terms of vegetation, is within our jurisdiction, and I mean, especially within the NDZ. So we'll need to know information about what sort of lawn there's going to be there. You're taking a house out and you're putting a new one in, so it's basically starting fresh. So we'll need to know, is there lawn there? Where is it? Is it going to be native fescue lawn? And similarly, as Bob said a while ago, foundation plants that are in the NDZ would need to be native plants. The foundation plants around the house that are in the outer aura should be some mixture of native plants and, if you wish, ornamental plants. We'd be happy if it's 100% native, but we can't always arrive at that point. So we just need a heck of a lot more detail in terms of the vegetation part of the plan. And the
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Understood.
Right, so a lot, we've. We've given you a lot to think about. You still have to go to historic, as I think you mentioned.
They have ZBA on
Yes, that's
27.
correct.
I thought they had ZBA.
Not CBA.
No, they're done with, they don't need zoning. They don't need zoning.
Oh, because they moved the house.
They moved the
Okay, so
house. So
that's,
you need historic.
okay.
That's all you have left besides us.
That's correct.
Right, okay. So, anyway. Anybody else have any final thoughts on this? We've had concerns about the deck being in the NDZ. It's something to think about. Lots of questions about vegetation, mitigation.
Okay.
And I appreciate the fact that you did reorient the house and move it back some, and that's all to the good. Of course, it also helped you meet zoning's requirements. Just trying to think if there's anything else. I have a lot of notes on this. Oh, I will also say that in terms of the current mitigation proposal, you've got 3 species. You've got 5 red cedars, 12 or 15 winterberries, depending on what you look at, and 29 high bush blueberries. In terms of a proper mitigation, I would add another species or 2 in there. Not, I mean, to replace some of those existing plants with other species to make it a more diverse habitat. 29, probably either the high bush blueberries or the, I don't know which, I don't know, it's up to you. But anyway, again, if you were consulting an ecological restoration specialist, they would be able to speak to all this.
Sure.
All right, anything else?
Okay.
So when would you like to, for us to see you or you to see us again? After historic, I presume.
If we're able to address the concerns that you guys have today, would you be willing to issue an order prior to historic?
I would rather not.
So we don't have concerns so much with the house, well, moving the deck maybe, but most of it is vegetation.
Most of it is vegetation.
So I can write a letter to, I believe Sarah does historic, saying that we kind of want the deck moved closer to the garage, if possible.
Or further out of the NDZ.
Yeah, okay, further out of the NDZ, and more plantings, but we don't have an actual problem with the house,
Other than the deck, yeah,
other
we
than,
had nothing to say about the house itself. We do have a lot of questions about the mitigation that need to be worked out.
Okay, so the historic hearing is scheduled for July 19th. So if you'd be willing to hear us before then, we can certainly address these concerns beforehand. If you'd rather wait until after the hearing, then we'll take your next available after the 19th.
Yeah, I never know how it's going to go with historic. I mean, is this, how old is this house?
I would say let's just put it on for next week, and I'll talk to Sarah and see if she thinks that there's gonna be any sort of problem. Get her opinion.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then if we don't know and nothing's been resolved, we'd just continue it to the last.
Can you get us new plans or address the concerns before, because you would have to have it by
Friday.
Friday?
Yeah, I personally think you're going to need more time than that, but
Yeah.
I would agree.
All right, so then it would be
28th.
July 20, or June 28th.
June 28th? Sure.
I'll make a motion that we continue 72 Happy Valley Road to June 28th, 2023.
Latin second.
roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And I vote aye. See you then.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and so I see Nick Crawford's name, I assume it's Jen or someone else from the office. So we can go back to 552 Orleans Road if you'd like.
Yes.
I think they're coming up for the next one, to Scallop.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Here.
You're with Orleans, 552 Orleans? Bill?
Yeah, 552 Orleans Road.
Oh, okay.
And if Nick's here, he's probably got the answers.
Oh, his
But
hand's up.
I apologize, it didn't get put on my calendar, so I missed today's meeting. But
Well, there was a lot of confusion about this one.
So did we.
It may not have been all your fault.
So Nick, go ahead.
Sure.
See, my understanding was you had questions about the area between the house and Route 28 and what was going to be planted there. Is that correct?
Should Nikki advertise this first?
You'd recall it.
Yep, so we are going back to orders of conditions for 552 Orleans Road. Kenneth Hibbard and Eleanor Wilson, map 13J, parcel G19, SE103628, proposed landscape improvements, bank stabilization, and buffer zone mitigation and restoration. I think we were all confused because,
Well, my question for you two is that, did you know this was here for an order of conditions today?
Beg your pardon?
Did you know that this was up for an order of conditions today? Or did you?
It wasn't on my calendar, but
Okay.
when we left,
We have the, can you hear me?
Yes.
We also have the wrong date, so, but nonetheless, we're here now. I downloaded the orders of conditions, and I took a look.
speak up,
and
Nick. Nick, can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me well?
Well, I can hear you, but Bill can't, so.
I left my hearing aids at home.
I did review the orders of conditions, and everything seemed to be in line and nothing out of the ordinary with either the five-roll array, the invasive work, or the landscape construction work that was going to take place. So we don't have any problems with the conditions as proposed.
Okay.
And if you did have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right. So this is just a happy accident that we worked on it and that you're okay with it.
Okay. If Nick's okay, I'm okay.
So, we did add, relative to what you're looking at in terms of the order, I added a bunch of verbiage to the findings, which is not probably of secondary interest to you is relative to the conditions, but I just wanted to go ahead and go over those. And I added something added more specificity on finding number 4. There will be 9 invasive locusts removed. Other trees that are also under overhead electrical wires will be removed. In total, there'll be 11 non-native and 7 native trees removed, 18 trees in all. At least that's the way I counted it up. Then I added a finding, due to constraints from the neighboring property owner's extensive view easement in the front of the house, as well as the density of the remaining overstory trees in the front of the house, 8 native understory trees will be planted under the existing trees in the front. And I'll come back to a question there in a minute. The commission accepts that the required tree replacement ratio was not feasible on this property due to these constraints. Oh, you just disappeared. You're still there. So this is just internal record keeping on our part, just for probably whoever wants to look at this later. I did note that I didn't see that the 3 service berries were identified on the planning plan. Clethra was identified sort of with the color, with the orange or yellow indicating the new stuff since last time. Maybe I missed it, or maybe there was something on your end, but you could have a look at that. I couldn't find where the shad bushes are going.
Yep. Yeah, so there's 2 more or less on top of the retaining wall to the left of the driveway as you pull in. And then there's 1 to the right. They're the largest, the largest circles for plants on the plan.
Yeah, it does say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah, there it is, service berry, there's
Yep.
the other, there's 3 of them, I found them.
Okay, good. They're found. All right,
3
good.
big circles, yeah.
And then I
promise
added,
they're there.
then I added that there will be, mentioning in the findings that there will be a fiber roll array installed on the coastal bank to prevent undercutting of the driveway. I'm not sure if that's how you view the purpose of it, but that's the way I think of it.
Yeah, I mean, in the long term, yes.
All right. Then I said the osprey nesting pole will be moved out of the view easement held by the neighboring property owner. And I mentioned there's an open restoration project on the property from a previous violation. The status report was submitted during the hearings for this NOI. So anyway, as I say, that's stuff it's background information. Anybody else have comments, changes to the order?
The only thing I saw was that under overstory, it was overtory.
Oh, it was?
So I had Janet fix it.
Oh, it's fixed, okay.
Yeah,
Overtory, okay.
so that's all I thought. I thought your additions were very good, because it does show what has transpired, how it changed over time.
I think it helps also if you were to come back with a, God forbid, amended order or something like that.
Not allowed. This is too complicated.
Just too complicated, I agree.
Okay, can I,
Yeah, please do.
addressing the question that I think you raised as you came up, one other condition that we're proposing adding to this is that all existing English ivy along the southwest side of the property shall be removed and the area monitored to prevent its reemergence, without designating exactly what that is, just all the ivy.
Right, I think,
Yep,
yeah, we have no
that was
objection to
definitely
that.
the intention.
Yeah, I just didn't want to, I don't necessarily want to call out where it's located, but all of the ivy should be removed.
Right,
Okay,
Gotcha.
got it.
So you put that
I put it in.
in special condition.
Mm-hmm.
Did we also, I thought Janet put in where some of the trees are going to be left as snags? that are going to be cut down?
There was a discussion on that at the last hearing, and
Yeah.
I don't specifically remember how we left it, but it was brought up by someone who's not here today, Cheryl.
And Jen said she would consider that, but that's as far
Yeah, I
as it
think the
went.
only, I mean, I don't think we'd want that between the house and the road, but maybe some of the others.
No, I think it was where the locust trees, some of the black locusts above the scarped area along the shoreline.
Right, I don't think there's a problem there.
Yeah, I think those were the trees that were going to be removed.
I didn't have specifics.
Not removed, but cut.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if those are left as snags, it would also
think
help
that-
stabilize the bank, too.
Very
Yeah, I
happy.
think there are, in that instance, 4 candidates for that. There's the 10-inch, the double 24-inch, and the 6-inch locust is inside the gravel area next to the driveway, and the 30-inch locust. But I would request that we're able to leave the snag more as a trunk instead of with a ton of dead branches overhanging the driveway.
The trunk is all you need.
Yeah, we only need the trunk.
Yep, okay. Yeah, we can evaluate
Well, I mean-
when we're out there and see if there's one that's more suitable than others that may already have like a cavity or something in it.
Right. Very good, thank you. One more nesting spot. Anything else? So even though you didn't really think we were doing the order today, we did it. And
Perfect. Love it.
now we
You know,
don't have to do it later.
Yeah,
As my
flexibility.
brother says, I'd rather be lucky than good. So,
Exactly right. That's my motto.
Make a motion that we close the hearing on 552 Orleans Road and accept the order of conditions as noted.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise.
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Thanks for calling and letting me know.
You're welcome.
We thought you might be interested.
Yeah.
All right, you are on 2 Scallop?
Yep.
2 Scallop Terrace, David and Lisa Howe, map 16A, parcel 28A, H14I, SE10 3634. The existing dwelling will be elevated to meet the NFIP requirements. It will be reconstructed and a second floor addition will be added. Mitigation will include 2,000 square feet of asphalt removal. Back to the Scallops.
One by
Good
one.
afternoon.
Afternoon.
For the record, Thad Eldridge. I'm here with Lisa Howe and Chris Billick, who will be building, Lisa, who will be owning the property, or who has owned the property for several years. It's another one of these. The house was elevated at one point to meet the NFIP standards that were in effect at the time, and now it's time to raise it again. I'll think back to this one day when we're raising everything again, when the floodplains
That's
increase. But
inevitable.
for now, we are required to meet the bare minimum of elevation based on our bylaw. There's an unfortunate section of our zoning bylaw. We have elevations that we've shown, because we were trying to get an extra 2/10 out of it. We actually have to put the first floor exactly at elevation 14 when we elevate this. Fortunately, it's just a little difference between the plans. This will be at zoning on the 22nd, and revised plans for the Zoning Board of Appeals were submitted today. Otherwise, with the property itself, there is a patio that will be removed, so that's good. We're specifying to put some sort of stone underneath the deck that's being proposed in the front. There's really not enough headroom for a real patio, but that'll be a spot for some kayaks, and having stone underneath there would be fine. It works with the numbers. The proposal with the septic system, it's an oversized septic system. It is an IA. We're going to reduce some of the stone out of it so we can pull the wall back and make better use of the parking area. Currently, it's a It's a little bit of a turn around over on the neighbor's property, so that'll be a benefit. There's a small addition going on, some extra deck areas with a rinse station in the back. The existing rinse station will be replaced. The planting plan has not yet been determined, but all native plants will be used for that. And the mitigation, we went out there, the aerial photo that I've given to you on sheet 4, that's at a neat time. It's right at the start of the transition of this area. So where the 2 circles are in there, that was a lawn, it was a field. They played ball out there and whatever else. It's now a thriving wetland that's coming in. There's a lot of high tide bush and a number of other plants. Our proposal for mitigation, we found remnants of the asphalt in the path where it's highlighted. And we should rip that out. Get the asphalt out of there, return the grade to what's current with some sandy loam, seed it, maintain a use of a path going across it, and then let nature fill in around either side. We did show a bump in that, and it becomes a question for the commission. There are some shrubs that are growing up through the broken asphalt, and we can plow through and remove it, or we can leave that since there is more substantial vegetation there. We were leaning towards the avoid that substantial vegetation and just target the grasses that have grown up through the broken asphalt. And if anybody made it around the corner, there's a little green dot down there, and that's where there's a chunk of concrete and brick. I don't know who put it there or why, but if we have a machine down there, it's a perfect time to remove it. This mitigation would be performed after the project is completed. Mr. Billick would like to use this area for some extra parking for construction. And it would just be the front section. We'd be talking 2 or 3 vehicles, and they would be the smaller vehicles. It's the contractors just getting out there and actually having space to work. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I shall open it up for any questions.
Oh, and if I can add while you're talking, this has gone to the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program under MESA. We have not received a comment back yet, but we're expecting something favorable.
So once the structure is elevated, what will be at grade? Is it going, there's no garage, right? So this is the
Correct.
parking. So is crushed stone underneath the entire structure or just the deck? What part?
Under the structure itself, is there concrete slab down there now, or? Yes, so.
So the
it
house
will
is
remain.
currently on slab. That slab will remain?
Yes.
Why will the slab, why? Does it,
Yeah, there's some storage down there. And they're just raising the house and then building wood on top of the existing foundation.
right.
There'll be a
so-
little bit of work around the back for the
So there's
addition.
there's an existing crawl space?
There is.
Okay, so that's where you store things. But no, okay, so in that case, the usual conditions of no chemical substances, no pollutants of any kind,
And
nothing
no
that could-
storage of anything that you wouldn't want to get wet.
Okay,
No photo albums, no clothes.
that would be
no-
good. So when you say in the narrative that there's an overall decrease in impervious coverage, I was trying to figure out how you arrived at that conclusion.
Yeah, we were looking at that patio seems to be pretty impervious.
Okay,
So that'll be removed out of, in the front. And then
okay,
we're
so
really
that
looking
represents
at
the decrease then, because that's being replaced by
crushed stone.
crushed stone. And when you refer under the deck, it says proposed crushed stone with patio blocks / stones. What does that mean?
Just a few blocks underneath there, so if they store a kayak underneath there, they're not just walking on the marbles of crushed stone. They can have some solidity under there.
So the first floor at elevation 14 means you'll be, I keep looking over at you guys, but I know I'm supposed to. With the first floor at elevation 14, you'll be able to walk under there.
Yes, but it's not going to be a full ceiling height. So there may be a little ducking if you're a little taller.
Okay,
We were talking about putting a patio under there like the Swensons across the way,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we determined that it's really, you'd be ducking to get underneath of there.
Yeah.
It's not.
okay to store a kayak, probably not, just so you
Yeah.
can scoop under and go get it. Okay, all right, thank you.
We also need to leave that area slightly open because we want to be able to access that tank,
Access what?
the septic tank that exists there.
Yep.
So,
And so, one last question.
Oh, please.
So in this now crawl space, which is gonna be quite higher than a crawl space normally is it flood vents or is it open more than just the flood vents?
They currently have lattice openings.
Okay,
So those are the flood vents. It's a
okay,
non-engineered flood vent.
right. And they are attached in such a way to prevent them from breaking loose if floodwaters, I know it's a still water, but it's also coastal storm flowage, which moves, so they won't be able to break away.
Usually under
and become a
FEMA, that's
problem.
more of a breakaway situation that,
Yeah,
you know, if the lattice survives the flood, as long as there's enough opening for the water to get through, which there is sufficient, if it breaks away, it's only better for the flood.
yeah.
And that's a,
So
Considering-
it'll allow floodwaters to
Yes.
move underneath.
and considering the amount of debris that gets churned up during a flood, if there's a little bit of lattice that then adds to it, it's pretty minimal.
Right.
It's the 2x4s and the solid items. You really don't want that floating around.
Right, okay.
That's-
Thank you.
that's
That's
Okay,
it.
good. Anybody else, Bob?
A couple of questions that, so that area where the path is, that you want to remove, that pavement, it's pretty, is it very impervious? I mean, when I looked at it, it was pretty broken up.
It's very broken up. I mean, we went out there and looked, what are we going to do for mitigation? We looked at the beach area where everything is dying because the dune is migrating over. You know, looking at the property itself, there's no real meaningful mitigation that we could put there, especially when we have this area across the street. And it was, I mean, the asphalt is still there. Eventually, if this area erodes away, that's just going to enter into the environment in general, and we thought that this would be the best offering.
Okay.
Kind of clean up the area and then let more of the naturalization occur that's been occurring out there.
So there's a kind of a chain or a wire going across, cable going across there
Yes.
now? So that's their property?
It is.
Okay. Vehicles parked there from time to time too, with overflow parking? Okay, so you want to leave it open. Okay, so you're going to remove the pavement all the way to the road, and then...
Pretty much all the way to the road. We were leaving one parking space worth at the road end. So that when they do have that overflow car that will park there, they're not parking on just dirt.
Okay. So any loose pavement is what I'm getting at, will be removed.
That's the big one. It's the loose pavement. There are some areas where there's some large sections of pavement.
And you mentioned foundation plantings after the building is constructed. And those aren't designed yet?
No, we haven't gone through all of that. The client has the list, and they're looking through. They're also making a number of decisions with the house, the final finishes and everything. So we can certainly review that with Nikki, or we can come back to the commission if that's what you'd like.
I'd like to see a list of plantings for around the foundation. Maybe even around that rinse station to maybe absorb some of the wastewater around that rinse station. But I think it would be a nice chance to put some natives, around the foundation, and as opposed to the property across the street. And you're thinking about no irrigation as well?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, if there's temporary irrigation for the foundation
No
plantings,
permanent
but-
irrigation, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I had, thank you.
Bob, anyone else? Yeah, I've been scratching my head over offering the removal of the broken up asphalt as mitigation. I understand where you're coming from. At the same time, when I walked it, it's pretty buried. I mean, it's
Yeah.
broken up and buried. So I noted in your application, there was a note on one of the plans that said the objective is to allow the transformation to wetland to continue.
So over a lot of that, it's buried. It's a few inches down. It's enough for grass to be able to grow, but until it breaks apart, shrubs aren't going to grow through that. So the section that has shrubs growing through it, that's broken up enough, but there are some areas where it's pretty contiguous.
Yeah, it's some of
And
each.
so you're going to get grasses to grow up over 2 or 3 inches of sand, but
But also the proposal is to convert that to a 4-foot wide walking path, mowed walking path.
to leave a 4-foot path.
I
If you
think it
have
said mowed too, so it's gonna be
mowed, yes,
So
leave
in
the
other words,
4-foot path,
a
but then,
fescue lawn
Mhm.
with a 4-foot wide all the way down.
and then everything on the fringes, if this is 10 feet wide of asphalt, even if it's 8 feet wide of asphalt, there's area that would be,
How wide do you estimate it was? It was actual road width?
yes,
Asphalt? Oh, okay.
yes, we hit a probe through a few spots and we hit solid area, a solid mass.
Okay, so that's a lot more asphalt than I understood.
Yes.
Okay.
And we can't even figure out when this driveway or road was created.
Right.
It doesn't show up on any of the land court plans, but it's obviously there.
Obviously there, yeah. Probably a very long time ago, given its condition, very long time ago.
But we think it would be good to get rid of the asphaltics, and it's, where it's solid underneath, it would be impervious under. So that'll only increase the pervious nature of the area.
That is true. So I echo Bob's request to know more about well, you're not proposing mitigation on the property itself.
No, these would just be the foundation plantings, and we'll keep them on the native list, because, a lot of the property is within jurisdiction anyhow, within the buffers, and then everything's in jurisdiction with the floodplain. I believe
Right.
you'd be looking for 100% natives for the
So,
landscaping
in
because
the
of the
order, we could,
floodplain.
if we required all vegetation on the property to be native, then that would be acceptable. Okay. Just since we're talking about the path, you said, yeah, if you if you go to the end of the thing and turn
To the right.
right, there's the concrete pile, and then if you go further, I don't know if that's on this property or not, I don't know where the property lines are here, but there are a bunch of, looks like circular bags of sand, about,
That's on the
That's the hotel.
condominium property.
is it? Okay.
So
Do you have any idea what those are?
Yeah, it's flood
it was some
protection.
sandbags that they were using back, was it the 2018 floods?
Yeah,
Everything came in through that southerly corner.
They're building a dam, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And there are plans out here for
Still there.
putting in an artificial dune. They've at least prepared plans. I think Horsley and Witten did that. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if they would ever move forward with that, because in the end, the weak point out here is the ramp at Outermost Marine. That's where the water comes in first every time. The south end of the old field, that's a low point as well. So they can build all the dune they want. If they don't take care of those spots, the water's just going to get right around it.
so if the path were converted to no asphalt, and you're gonna keep the grade as it is, you're not gonna raise it, you're not gonna lower it.
Right. Pull out the asphalt, put some sandy loam in that is at the same level it is right now. Throw some,
And so the seawater comes on both sides of that path? Or just one side?
the seawater would come in from the street. If those sandbags are not successful, it'll come from the south. The wetland on the northeast side of that path, that's isolated.
Yeah. So if that path were lowered, then it could all migrate into there and become a contiguous wetland.
It'd be a squishy walk, too.
It would also be a squishy wall. Yeah. All right. So anyway, as I said, echo wanting to see the plant list.
Sure.
It'd be nicer just to have planting plan, but since you're not offering as mitigation, I guess we can't really talk about that. If we accept that as mitigation, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it sounds like if anybody else has.
Well, I think the order can simply say that the proposed foundation plans will be given to the agent for review and approval.
Yeah, understood, yeah.
Oh, come on up.
We all go.
You get
I
to be
can
on
always,
TV.
like, send it out to everyone, too.
Yeah, so we can take a look.
So I just, if it would reassure you, I'm Lisa Howe. I'm a member of the Weston Garden Club, and we installed a native plant garden at the town hall. And I have a lot of experience with natives, and I'm all over the pollinator movement, so just to give you some peace of mind.
Great. Good to hear.
Hopefully, we can put her in charge of it.
Yeah, we can,
Yeah, and what that means is you can't ever sell, you have to stay there forever.
I have one side note.
Sure.
There's no street sign on that street, which represents a safety issue.
Okay.
So I don't know how you can communicate that to the town.
Well, we're going to planning board next week.
So that'd be wonderful if you
I'll
could.
bring that up.
Thank you.
And another side note, your neighbor, I guess it's Three Scallop, that house was raised, and their lawn is bright green, even though we required it to be fescue. So we're definitely wanting assurance. We're going to bake in into this order of conditions, more assurance, I guess, than we baked into the previous order, that remain non-irrigated, non-fertilized, non-pesticide treated native grass.
With a little bit of temporary irrigation just to get it
A
started.
little bit of temporary just to get it started, but we need to, every time I drive past Three Scallop, I get a little heartburn, so we need to circle back on that. That wasn't your project, was it?
Oh, it was.
It was?
Oh, yes.
we have a word.
Yeah, let's have a word about that, separately.
I can certainly bring it up to the client.
Would you please? You can double check the order. I'm pretty sure it's going to say what I just said.
I'm well aware of the order. It was before the change in interpretation on hydrangeas, so those were fine. I will say that when I'm in this area and people look, they say, oh, we love the landscaping there, we love the hydrangeas. I said, oh, you're not going to get the hydrangeas now.
No, you don't love it. Are you going to plant hydrangeas, by the way? That's why we want to see the plant list.
Okay.
Yeah.
No hydrangeas.
There were hydrangeas there that, when we bought the property, they just died.
There is a native hydrangea. I bought one, and I gotta tell you, everybody, all these hydrangeas that have died over the winter and everybody's, all upset about, it is absolutely perfect.
Okay.
So obviously the native works, which is interesting. I just
The limelights came through
And
that.
now I'm curious, it's
It's
the
a
white
bright
flower.
red.
Red.
Yeah, I think I got it at Crocker's.
Bring us some pictures.
Yeah, bring us a picture.
It's absolutely full. It looks normal. I never cut it back. I don't have to do anything to it.
And is that a hybrid or a
plant that.
straight species?
I don't know. It said native and I bought it.
There are those who say that's native and others who say that isn't native, so you have to be careful.
It's
But
not
I think we should update
Take
our,
some pictures and we can send it to the plant identification thing and it'll tell
Yeah.
us what it is.
Oh, yeah, they'll do that.
I do think,
because
I think we should update our
Plant list.
not plant lists, but we have mitigation guidelines.
Oh, yes.
We haven't adopted them yet, so.
04-101.
We can change them before we adopt
That we haven't adopted.
next week.
But no, what I'm talking about is the policy,
Oh, the mitigation guide.
mitigation guide,
That's old,
yes.
Yeah,
I think we should,
2004-101.
we should look,
right. That's why we're codifying it,
it's all been folded into.
Yes.
Okay, good, all right.
yes.
Thad is especially looking forward to that.
But
I
will
am
take a
looking
vote.
But I
forward
have
to
to,
it.
I have to update it again because it doesn't address the hydrangea issue yet.
And I never watered it, mine all last summer, too.
We're gonna fix
truly is-
hydrangea
Try to
guidance.
fix the hydrangea issue.
It's gonna be so crystal clear that you don't have to worry about it any longer.
There's no
All right.
drainage.
Don't worry, the lawyers will muddy
Yeah,
it out.
well, the lawyers, yeah.
They've
Thank
already
you.
weighed in.
All right, so anything else on this? I guess nobody seems to be having second thoughts about removing asphalt as mitigation. Okay, I'm the only one who's thinking about it, all right. Fine. All right, I guess we're ready for a motion.
When can we,
Can we
order of conditions?
continue
We're
this?
going to go for an order, right? Okay.
And can I just interject again? You really shouldn't close it until the NHESB has responded.
True.
Right, you also have ZBA.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have to hold off on.
Well, yeah, we don't want to work on the order, actually.
ZBA, we're on for the 22nd.
Okay, so the 28th, we could,
28th works for us.
because you don't have to do anything, do you? We haven't asked you to change anything, so. All right,
Yep,
28th.
good.
And welcome
Me.
back.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we continue 2 Scollop Terrace to June 28th, 2023.
Latin second.
We'll call vote. Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, next up, we have certificates of compliance. I'm going to open the first 2 at the same time because they're the same thing and they're both from, I don't even know, I don't know, they're 737, 736, so a long time ago.
Wow, wow, when is that?
Wow,
When it first
that's the
started.
beginning of time.
93.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyways, 53 Little Beach Road and 47 Little Beach Road, Morris Island Nominee Trust, map 16A, parcel 170 and parcel H50, SE 10736 and 10737, septic installation. Again, like I said, they're, 20 years old, 30 years old, 30 years old. And it's septic installation, so there's not really much to look at.
It's underground.
Yes.
And hopefully it's working. At this point, we should know if it weren't.
So I recommend approval of those 2.
Okay, I'll move to approve the certificates of compliance for both 53 Little Beach Road and 47 Little Beach Road.
Latin second.
We'll call vote. Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye. So we could have a, $30,000 fine for being 30 years late?
They do have to pay some sort of extra fee.
Good.
Not sure what it is, but. All right, so the next certificate of compliance is 25 Glover Square. Neil and Mary Ellen Soball, map 14F, parcel 60, SE 103068, addition to deck and addition and a deck to replace the existing deck and brick patio. So David Little sent a letter that said instead of doing the deck, they just did a pervious patio to replace the brick patio. But other than that, there was no deviations. So I would recommend approval for that one as well. I can pull up a site plan if anyone hasn't.
I'm looking back to see if, it's not on my notes, so it's before then.
Yeah, that one was 2015, so there wasn't any as-built requirements or anything like that.
Okay.
Okay. Move that we accept the certificate of compliance for 25 Glover Square.
Latin second.
Roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Mary? And Mary is muted.
Aye.
Okay. And I vote aye.
All right, and then after that, we have the minutes. So I don't know if anyone has an opinion whether to open them all at once or do one at a time.
I guess the only time we have to open it once is if somebody was away.
Let's see.
Or can we just abstain?
Well, they'd have to abstain from them all if they were away at any of them. I'm looking.
Yeah, it's more if we want to vote on all of them or if we want to open one by itself or.
I think it looks like everybody was at all of them.
That's the way it's written, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it looks like we could.
All right, so minutes to be approved are April 5th, 2023, April 12th, 2023, April 26th, 2023, and May 3rd, 2023.
All right, so,
Bob, Crystal sent you an email, I think, that said that she got yours, and we'll add it in, but
Yes,
we didn't want to change the different copies that everyone had. So Bob had some pretty simple changes, so we'll include those.
yeah, I made mine right in the Word documents in there for the most part.
I did too. I had a couple of.
You did, okay, oh, well, we all did, all right. Yeah, I see. Nothing particularly controversial, I would say.
Grammatical, spelling.
All right, yeah, so,
I know, it was the one, your note was, caught my attention on the 12th, the dredging project. So it has all the information that the town submitted to describe the project. But Bob put a note at the end, are there no minutes on the discussion?
all right.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that.
Having said that, I couldn't remember. I decided not to go back to the tape.
I think Bob Duncanson had some notes on those minutes too, so I don't know if she's added those in yet.
Actually, I don't see my note that says that. Is that
It's
what
the very last thing on that.
Yeah.
And I reformatted it to shrink because it had a lot of spacing. Yeah, so I
Yes.
just did away with the spacing between the lines.
We're talking about the 5th?
Yeah, the fifth, no, the 12th.
12th, oh. What happened to the, I thought we'd started at the 5th.
I already finished the 5th. I've moved on.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like there ought to be some record of what was talked about.
Right, so I'll maybe just have Crystal, what date is that, April?
12th.
12th.
There was a fair amount of discussion, as I recall.
More detail. All right.
Seeing these geraniums Bob reminded me, and thank you for putting the violation tracker.
Oh, you saw that.
I did see that. That's a good idea, because I was reading this and said, they have until June 1st to.
Yeah, I was gonna
I was
ask
like,
about
did that happen?
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask
I'm
about
gonna talk about it at
Okay.
the other,
Is that what I had?
other business.
Under
Okay.
other business, I was gonna ask.
All right, so
I don't have
where are we now,
anything
Janet?
else. And that was the 12th.
Okay.
I don't have anything else on the 12th. I'm moving to the
All right.
26th.
Almost caught up,
I'm getting, yeah,
She's been working a lot on them.
yeah.
I bet.
I do like the watering bane
The what?
under Zero Orleans Road. I just took the E off. Watering bane.
Ah,
Oh, yes. I have that marked.
Okay, yeah, not much on that one.
no.
Hardly anything. May 3rd.
Oh, I tried to clarify a little bit some of the description on the nature of the easement at Zero Davids that Mr. Brickman holds, and that, because the property at issue is owned by the Conservation Foundation, and he as the easement holder has access to it to maintain his view easement over it, so he's been doing all that cutting. I just wanted that to be clear, that it was a private view easement, and he wants to retain it and wants nothing over 5 feet. Under the circumstances with what's been done there, it finally made sense, I think, to all of us reluctantly, to allow the trees that have been cut to be removed and replaced with shrubs and trees outside. Anyway, I just wanted to, that was not an easy decision, and wanted to make sure the record was clear enough on why we struggled with that.
All right,
Okay,
looks like we're good with that.
that's it.
All set?
Yep.
I'll move that we approve the minutes with the changes noted for April 5th, 2023, April 12th, 2023, April 26th, 2023, and May 3rd, 2023.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So, yeah, I actually didn't, I forgot that everyone gets little notices when you put stuff in Dropbox. So you saw things, you saw something that I put there, not intending to discuss it later, but since you saw it, I'll discuss it now. So we've talked in the past how we sort of, I think, are losing the thread on violations, which ones are still active, which ones have come before us, which ones have, where are we with which ones, and so forth. So I just put together a little spreadsheet, Nikki, in case you didn't see it. We do have a folder in Dropbox called Violations. It has some older stuff there. I think it was put there primarily for 107 Taylor's Pond a few years ago. Anyway, yeah. So there's a spreadsheet there, which I just started to fill in, and you feel free to augment it, to fill in gaps, to correct, or whatever. But to my knowledge, these are all things that either we know about and are working on, or you know that one of them was brought to our attention by a certain engineer recently. And so I put that in there. Actually, I need to talk to you. I'd like to talk to you afterwards about a couple of these. And also, when I went out to Happy Valley, from the deck that's there, you look across the water, and there's an excavator, it appears to me, but it's scooping into water. So I took a picture of it, and I want to show that to you. I couldn't actually find, by driving along the road, where it is. I think I know where it is, but I'm not sure. There's a big project going on at the end of Happy Valley.
Or is it, it could be on Stevens, I don't know.
Maybe
To
it's
the
on-
end of
I don't know
Happy Valley,
where-
I couldn't find anything.
So I don't know if you're back in business, Nikki, in terms of going out and looking at things.
I just started
Okay.
going back, so.
So I wanted to talk to you about that one. I think it needs to be looked at. If I show you the picture, you'll see why I think that. So anyway, I think it'd be helpful if we tracked our violations somewhere, like here, and you can change it around all you wish. But it helps me, and I think it helps us all, because we occasionally each have questions about, well, whatever happened to that violation? And I think we need a more formal way of tracking them.
I agree,
Keeping
because
track of them.
my memory's gone, and so I have a hard time remembering where they go. So having a spreadsheet would,
And, good. And so if you have others that are not here,
I think
feel free to,
Crystal may have started a list as well of ones that she's found that were still
okay.
up in the air.
I would like to put them here, that way we can all see them, and we can also add to it. We can add, oh, I drove by this one, and I saw such and such.
Yeah, we
Put
can
that in
do
there.
like dated notes, and everyone can see it. And
Yep.
Or, yes, or here's a new
It's a
one.
good idea.
I think it's a
Yeah,
great idea.
It's a great idea.
And I think some of them are probably ones from before I was even here, so I have a hard time keeping track of.
Yeah, like Morris
some of them.
Island Road.
Morris Island is one that just keeps sticking in my head.
We
And
need
Because
to
he doesn't
add
do anything.
We need to add that Orleans one that we just did.
Oh, right, 552 Orleans was, but it's,
Not 552.
oh, 91.
93?
93.
Something. But that
93?
needs to be
93,
added.
yep.
Should
Okay.
we also have a spot for a date if something, like geranium, by June 1st, they were supposed to come back with something, and I don't know if anybody's been contacted or anything's
Like a
done.
like a
But we
deadline.
could put a date of June 1st, then when they, when they've met that one, we could change the date to the next step. So that
we maybe put a column in there for next steps.
I put something called status notes, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
so on Taylor's Pond, I wrote
Yeah.
in here just that Crawford was hired to do the restoration work. It's supposed to be getting underway
Yeah,
now-ish.
were we supposed to hear from them, Crawford, about that? Because I think there was something that their work is done, and if that's true, they should come back and talk to us about it.
I think she just came and explained what she was doing and that they were hired and contracted and it was going to be starting.
That was in the spring, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what she said.
I thought I saw something later than that where they had, well, anyway, we just need to, it'll allow us to know when we need to follow up on something. If anybody else can think of any, feel free to go in here and add them. Things that you know that we've talked about.
For Agnes Lane,
That one, yeah, that one, I don't know if it's a violation. All I know is that somebody brought it to our attention.
yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's a little hard to get to. And I feel uncomfortable going out there as a commissioner and snooping around for complicated reasons.
That's smart.
I've actually gotten,
That has blown up
I did that,
before.
I was accused of doing that once, even though I didn't, and all hell broke loose. So I don't want to do that again.
Does that one have an open order?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it except what a certain engineer said. I put verbatim his notes in the spreadsheet.
Okay. So I'll look at it.
So you don't need that.
Common misconception for conservation agents is we're not allowed to go on the property unless there's an open permit.
Yes. So
No,
if
you're allowed to go and investigate potential violations too.
But you can't go on the property, right?
Right.
Yeah. Not less.
So you have to knock on the door and ask to see it, or,
Yeah.
find a public piece of land across the pond or whatever it's on. So, yeah.
I mean, this was brought to me, and I was having a discussion with that engineer who said that if I could give you enough evidence of violations so that you'll be doing nothing else for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
So
Everywhere you go in this town, you see
Everywhere.
violations.
you do have to sort of be selective, and in the way we should be selective is, I think it's the egregious ones, the ones that are just, you just can't ignore it.
Right.
Others, I think we do have to put at the bottom of the list, because we don't have the manpower to follow up.
Right.
And nevertheless, when it's brought, so we only look at it when it's brought to our attention. Even then, we probably can't keep up.
Yeah, it's just you happen to drive by or the neighbor calls. That's really the only way I find out about them.
We're at a property near it and
You
see
go, oh, look at that,
something.
you'll get a good view of where that excavator is if you just go to Happy Valley and look
Just look.
down Bucks Creek, you'll see it.
And then we
And
need
you
to,
can figure out how to get there.
then if you have a drone, you can send it up and find it.
Wow,
Someone asked me to do that once on their neighbor. I was
that's
like,
the
that's
answer
illegal.
for investigating violations. You don't have to go on the property.
That's right. What's the height limit for snooping on property?
There is no bright line, no.
There's nothing? Okay.
No.
Ed
Drone.
uses a drone about once a year, so, and he usually asks me if I want any beaches surveyed or anything.
Yeah, but if you had a drone,
Yeah, but we want properties. All the ones along water, wetlands.
you don't get a drone.
I have one. No,
You
my
have a
husband
drone?
has one. I don't know how to use it. I have no interest in it.
Me neither.
Okay. Anyway, that's the item I wanted to bring up.
So did we hear anything from Geranium?
No.
So what's the next step? Because it was by June 1.
We'll change the date. She really wanted to work, Paul and her really wanted to keep working together because he's the one that started it. So he's having knee surgery, or just had knee surgery or something like that. So he's out right now. So since she already has a working relationship with him because she was upset, I'm
What
keeping
about
it
the other
with her.
property?
I haven't heard anything yet from them.
They're not full-time. It doesn't appear.
Right.
But it's summer now, so they
Exactly.
might be around.
They got a letter, though?
Yes.
Did they get a letter?
I'll have to double check
I thought.
because it was when I was out.
I thought he was.
I don't know if, okay, we need to find out if they ever got a letter.
Yeah.
Because I think Paul, as you say, is going to take care of hand delivering the one to, which one is it, 77?
I don't remember which one.
I don't know if he's done that either. So these are time consuming, and not admittedly, but nevertheless, I think it's part of our portfolio. And it's important.
Yeah, I haven't ever been out to those. So maybe I can go out to those tomorrow and see what I can see.
I'll send you the stuff, the pictures that I have on the other one, and I can be happy to take you or meet you there or whatever.
Were they, I'm drawing a blank now, where is it?
This is the one.
They were pretty major tree cuttings, but one was old and one was,
Oh, you're talking about geranium?
yeah.
Yeah, those are both clear cutting.
One was
One was-
newer. The
yeah, one was new and one
the
was
woman
looked old.
Paul's working with was newer.
65, yeah, I think.
Hmm.
65.
I don't know.
And the other one was done, but it looked like maybe a couple years ago.
Well,
Based on the-
it was done,
One was clearly recent.
yeah, you could tell it wasn't brand new. I have no way to know.
Yeah.
It was,
They were cut about this high, which is a good way to kill a tree. If you want to kill a tree, that's what you do.
I know, I told that to my husband the other day with our locust that keeps popping up every 10 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else unanticipated?
Then not to add to this, but then you know, I drive by Frost Fish and that access path to that house. Remember it was clear cut through the woods?
Oh, yeah.
And I look at that every time I drive by, and the plants aren't, it looks pretty vacant through that whole area.
Yeah.
You know. So, I mean, and it's the follow-up too. I mean, and how do you, I mean, that's more time too, you know?
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah. We did issue a restoration order.
We did.
Yeah, it doesn't look too
We should
good.
put that on that list, yeah, just so we don't lose track of it, which we did until you mentioned it, yeah. I'll have to figure out what that address is.
There's also that one on Morris Island, the
That's-
shed and
that's
the.
340.
Yeah, that's on the list, he's got that, yeah, right.
Yeah,
We have that one here.
didn't look. Oh, yeah, that's there.
It's still there, right?
Here it is.
Yeah.
41 Frostfish Hill Restoration Order.
Oh, feel free to stick that in.
I'll
as a-
stick it on.
Okay. Yeah, I think this will help.
But anyway, okay.
So
See,
obviously we
they
need
all start
trackers.
coming back.
Obviously,
Ooh,
we
your,
need this.
your thing is continuing to save, and now there's 6 copies of it in there.
My thing. Oh, the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know. Maybe it might just resolve. Sometimes it's temporary.
Oh, I
and
see.
then-
I'm having it all together. That is from conflicted copy. Oh, you know what?
Because more than one of us had it open at the same time.
Yeah, it could be that Excel is not as good as Word at managing multiple updates to the same file. Especially my version, my older version. So, yikes, okay.
Okay, well,
I'm out of it, so
did anybody else have it open? All right.
You might have-
I'm going to eliminate these then and save the last one. And then-
most recent, most.
Yeah. The 306.
I mean, I don't know if we'll lose anything that way, but that's something to keep in mind. Okay,
Delete that stuff.
Motion to adjourn.
Latin second.
roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Who called 3 o'clock?
Yeah, perfect.